This will not be a great video to watch if you plan on going on a nature hike solo anytime soon. What if trees aren't exactly what you think they are? What if I told you that trees could possibly be a portal to another dimension or something that could trap you forever? Now guys, this is just a theory here, but the fact that we have found people encased in trees before makes you have to look at trees a little differently, okay? We talked about that famous story where the little boy went to hide behind the tree. This is on the Missing 411. And he went to go hide behind the tree, and his dad was watching them because they were all playing hide and go seek, and the dad was watching the little boy play while all the kids play hide and go seek. His little boy ducked behind a tree. Then one of the other boys got done counting, and they went to look behind the tree, and he's gone. To this day, they've never found him. It's been more than 40 years. They've never found any part of his body. And the dad went back there to check behind the tree, and he was just vanished. People have been found encased in trees multiple times, okay? Loggers will be cutting trees down. They'll cut a tree in half. There's a body inside of it. The tree had no hole originally, so it wasn't like somebody got stuffed in there by some kind of serial killer. Now, the fact that this has even happened once, let alone multiple times, tells me this is something that we need to be looking into. You know, you hear about tree entities all the time. I mean, look at pop culture references. The Wizard of Oz shows the trees that are alive that go grab them. You know, the Evil Dead has the whole, vine thing. There's a lot of stories with like nature and the fae and fairy rings on the ground and these different things. We're seeing this famous story right now of this guy that swears his tree is moving, little by little every day. And you have to wonder if there's something to this. If you guys watch the show From, and you see that, the faraway trees, and then, one of them, the guy went into it and encased him into the side of a pool. Once again, these pop culture references reference real things that people have supposedly witnessed, talked about, or gone through. And that just freaks me out. People talk about going in the woods and going through portals, or Missing 411, people just turning up missing and gone away. It almost always seems like there's a connection to these missing people when people are right there with them. Like there's so many stories of somebody who's like, oh yeah, there was 5 of us. We were all right together. Somebody just walked over to use the bathroom and they were gone forever. Did they lean against a tree? Did they touch one of these trees? Did the tree reach out and grab them and bring them in? Even in my videos in the past, people have said that they have seen faces in the trees behind me, like these trees right here behind me, when I'm doing my videos. And there's been so many screenshots of faces in the trees while I'm doing this. Could this be something that a supernatural creature does and has the ability to do, is to, pull you into these trees? Who knows? It's just a very creepy theory to look at. Go down that rabbit hole a little bit if you will. TikTok, please don't take down my video. I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm just saying it's a theory. I want to know what you guys have to say about it. If you're enjoying all these creepy stories and phenomenons, go follow our podcast. It's called Matt, M-A-T-T, from Nomads. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Where do we go in our dreams? Tonight when you drift off asleep, are you really just staying in your bed like we think? Or is your soul, what's really you, going somewhere else entirely and leaving the shell of what you think is you behind? If you've taken your edible tonight, this might really mess you up, especially if you're drifting off to sleep right now. Because what I'm talking about is dreamland. Now, dreamland might not just be a mystical thing we talk about. It might be a real place where our soul or our spirit goes every night. Have you ever had those dreams that you have over and over again and you're visiting the same place? And it's like you know the place, but you don't know the place at the same time. But like this building is going to be around the next corner. Or these certain people are going to be here. Or you see people and they're supposed to be somebody that but it doesn't look like them. What if it doesn't look like them because you know their soul, and that's kind of like their avatar, like when you're playing a video game and you do create a character, okay? Creepy thought, when you are having a dream and you notice that somebody is looking at you in the dream, how unnerving is it? Because when I dream, almost everybody's faces are blurry, but if I can ever see the detail in their face and the dream seems a little too realistic, it's always a horror, like it's always a nightmare. It scares me to death every time I notice my dreams are a little too realistic. This is kind of like the whole theory of Inception. Are dreams a constructed place in reality that isn't just in our mind, but that we're all connecting to somehow? It's a weird thought to have, but like scientists really don't even know why we dream. Okay, and these dreamlands can have very real crossover effects on us. Some people who have routine nightmares have physical ailments in real life outside of them dreaming, okay, proving that it can affect us. Even weirder still, the whole Freddy Krueger series, Nightmare on Elm Street, was based upon a real happening where a string of Asian college-age students were just dying in their sleep, and no one knew why. And it had this whole community afraid to go to sleep for a while. There's so much about our own brain when we sleep that we don't even know. Think about how scary that is. We act like we have all the answers and that we know everything that could be possibly going on in our bodies. Yet every single night we are doing something that science can't truly explain. And we talk about astral projection and how you might be able to, actively decide where you go in these dreams. And people talk about how they can see their own bodies and almost kind of like spy around in these astral projection states. The scary part of it is when you start talking about the things that seem to look back. When you start, you start looking at something, it starts looking back at you, and it might follow you back when you wake up. I got chills talking about this, because what if you go into some bad places when you're in dreamland, and something that doesn't have a physical body follows you back, and that's how you have hauntings or ghosts or demonic possessions, is because you led something back to you. It followed you back from dreamland. There are so many theories about this that it's hard to even begin, okay? There's so many different possible rabbit holes you can go down on your mind, what a dream actually is. Are they past memories from a reincarnated state? Or is it your brain just trying to work out problems? Is it something your brain just does for fun, like making up a movie for self-entertainment? Is it really connecting like a hive mind almost? Like, could we channel this ability to communicate and just continue living our lives while we're asleep? We just certainly don't know, and we don't have all the answers. One thing that is super weird, though, about all dreams is that they seem to have a common starting point of like when the dream starts, okay? No one has a dream of them getting out of bed and starting their day. Their dream mostly starts right in a situation, and it's like your brain already knows what the situation is, and you just start completing it. But the second you're aware that you're in a dream, it stops. Why does dreamland fall apart? Okay? If you look into people who do DMT and these hardcore drugs, and they talk about seeing machine elves and these other entities and on other dimensions, they always say that once they are aware of what they're doing and these entities see them, they almost like it's like they kick them out. It's like you can't be here while you're in this state of mind. What if that's how our dreams are? And that's how dreamland works, is you're like, we're not meant to be there while we're in an active thinking state of mind. We're supposed to just almost be like a passerby. We're not supposed to be actively engaging in that stuff. It's just a super weird thought to have. It's just a neat little rabbit hole you can go down on what a dream is, because you can't find a definitive answer. There's not one. We truly don't know. Hope you enjoyed tonight's video. Maybe it helped some of y'all fall asleep. Maybe it terrified some of y'all to go to sleep. But tonight, try to do that in your dream. Try to actively look at a clock in your dream. Try to actively engage with somebody in your dream. It will all just fall apart the second you try. Why do we only see old-timey ghosts? Wouldn't it make sense that we should be seeing 90s crackhead ghosts wearing cargo shorts and cut-off t-shirts? Let's find out why. It's pretty common knowledge that pretty much every ghost that we see is always like in a Victorian dress, or they're always like in a suit. Like, you never hear about modern day ghosts. You also don't hear about like cavemen ghosts, right? Why is that? Okay, a lot of people believe it's because that's the time period that was using lead paint. All right, think about what happens when you go to get an x-ray. They put a lead vest on you because it blocks particles, it blocks light, it blocks things that we can't see. Okay, science knows that when we die, for whatever reason, our body weighs like 0.002 grams less the second we die. And a lot of people think that's like the soul escaping, or the spirit escaping. So now imagine a house that had lead paint all around it, back like in the early 1900s and 1800s. And a person dies in that house. Now their soul and their spirit can't escape the house. They become trapped. Okay? And it might not even trap them entirely. It might just trap a fragment of them. And that's why you see glimpses of the same kind of haunting over and over again. You know, maybe they did get to move on, but like a little bit of their energy got, kind of stuck in that place. And it leads me to the next thought about, I just think it's fun to think about like the government somewhere was like, oh, there's too many ghosts. We got to outlaw lead paint. Lead paint's awful, obviously. But that's what a lot of people believe. When you see these big Victorian manors and they say, you see the lady in white or the man in the suit smoking the cigars and stuff. Pretty much every one of those places, if you go and look, lead paint, like every time. Okay, they'll be like, yeah, we did renovations and we had to take the lead paint away, and then all of a sudden the hauntings stopped like happening as much, probably because it got released. I really want to see that cargo short flip-flop wearing ghost, that's just got a pack of Marlboros, just like, asking for $5 or something. Like, that's the ghost I want to hear. I don't want to hear like the old Victorian ghost anymore. It's so boring. You hear that all the time. Speaking of that, I can't watch any crime documentaries that happened pre-2000. Like, if they're about pre-2000, like, I'm sorry, Mr. Ballin, I'm sorry, Hulu. When you guys come out with a new crime documentary and it's like, this happened in 1985, I'm like, let me guess. They found DNA evidence and solved the crime in 2 seconds. I don't need an hour-and-a-half explanation about how they didn't know what happened then. I just need to know that now, hey, you found DNA, crime's over. We could have wrapped this thing up in like a minute and a half. I'm about to eat 5 bacon biscuits in bed with a bag of spicy Doritos. Vitamin C gummies, by the way. Be responsible. Do you want to hear a creepy story? It's one you could tell your kids every night before they go to bed. It's about the shadow man that comes and lures them with all kinds of enticing promises, fun and games forever, joyful experiences, friends that will never see a sad day. They can whisk them away to a magical land where they never have to see their parents again, where they'll never grow old, or that's what they're told. This is the true story of Peter Pan, the one that assaulted Wendy and stole the other boys. If you guys have never heard the original story of Peter Pan, Captain Hook was actually a father whose son was stolen by Peter Pan and his evil shadow that would trick people and take people. Captain Hook would sail Neverland forever, trying to find his lost boy son. Now, the kids were told they got to play there forever, but that wasn't the truth, because they would grow old just like anyone else would. When they got too old, Peter Pan would actually get rid of them in his dark, sadistic ways. I wish I was making this up, that this beloved Disney story did not have such a dark origin, but it was absolutely terrifying and horrifying, to the point where the shadow would haunt them like a poltergeist every night. And if it couldn't get them the nice way, it would take them the hard way, which is what Wendy found out, and it was unfortunately her fate. It would tap at the window, it would beckon them to come outside and play, and it would whisk them away to the stars where the parents couldn't follow. Captain Hook drove himself crazy for years and years and years until he finally figured out a way to get to Neverland himself. And then once he was there, he was constantly after Peter Pan. Even though he knew it was too late for his own son that had been taken away many years ago, he was trying to save the other children in hopes that their souls would make it back to their families. Now that you've heard the original story of Peter Pan, I don't know if you'll be able to look at it the same way again. If you like these creepy stories, these weird things, follow our podcast. It's called Matt from Nomads. We hope to see you there.